Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, let me know if you're here. Megan Tazzano, the Thyroid Naturopath. Let's get into it. So today is unlocking the secrets of the thyroid gut axis, your key to optimal thyroid function. So the thing is I treat many people with thyroid issues, okay? However, a lot of people who come into my world and seek my help actually have gut issues. And they may have the symptoms of thyroid dis-ease or malfunction or concern, such as fatigue or, just really not feeling all that great. However, more often than not, and it's very rare that I don't start at the level of the gut, okay, because all disease actually stems from the gut. That is the seat of absorption. That is the interaction between the external environment and our internal matrix. So it's really, really important that it is super healthy. And today, in today's age, with the plethora of rubbish food, lab food, numbers, all that type of stuff, sugar, and all the stuff that we've kind of, seen, it's seen by society as the norm, even like jar food, like making different types of cuisine from jar food. Oh, it couldn't be further from the truth. Anything that does not resemble a food, it's going to place some level of inflammation in your digestive system. And the impact it will have on your specific system will depend on your level of immune tolerance, okay? And that stems from an area of the digestive system. So I'm just going to get into it now. So what I promised today is 10 ways to reduce inflammation in your digestive system and enhance the health of your microbiome or microbiota for your thyroid wellness. All right, so let's get into it. Now, I just plucked 10 out of the air when I was writing this the other day. There are so many more areas than 10, but 10 is going to give you a really, really good start. So if you're interested in learning more about lowering the level of inflammation, just please write anti-inflammatory, okay? Because most diseases to some degree have inflammation involved, yeah? And inflammation is kind of like the beginnings of disease, right? So it's the, you could have a low-grade level of inflammation for many years before something goes wrong, as an example, right? Right, so number one, right, the first way to reduce inflammation is to increase the breadth and the variety of different fibers, different types of fiber in your diet, because it's the fibers that actually help fuel those beautiful short chain fatty acids, which are in the lower in the colon, which actually help to fuel the enterocytes. So the enterocytes are the cells on the inside lining of your digestive system. And in fact, we also get about 5% of our daily energy requirements from these short-chain fatty acids. So the short-chain fatty acids are butyrate, propionate, and acetic, right? So those, it has been deemed that they need to be in a certain proportion. And the only way to really find that out is to have a, digestive stool analysis test done, which many of my clients have had done. If you have not had that done and you listen to this live and you think, you know what, potentially there's some things going wrong, potentially there's some dysbiosis, potentially, I've got gut issues and I have no idea what's going on, you might want to get in contact with me. So just write gut function test. So that's just a great place to start. There are so many different tests that we can do to help uncover and provide evidence of what's going on in our digestive system. But this is just a gold standard one that I start with. And there are many levels, and I always just go gold standard, because what's the point in doing a test if you're not going to get all of the information? That's the way I see it. All right, so different types of fibers. So we've got resistant starches, and we've got, all the different types of fibers in fruits and vegetables, and different types of non-gluten grains. You know, I'm not talking about gluten today. You know, gluten is actually one of the foods that I recommend not to have, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So, you know, they fuel the colon, the liver, even the muscle cells. So important for the health of our intestines, right? So that would be the number one thing for you to do. Number two is to ensure that we're getting all those zinc-rich foods, the polyphenols, the flavonoids, and all of those beautiful foods that are anti-inflammatory and help the health of our gut-associated lymphoid tissue, our GALT, right? So we've got gut-associated lymphoid tissue, and also the Peyer's patches, which are in the lining of the digestive system, and that is actually where 70% of our immune system resides. Okay, so we want that to be functioning really, really well, because the better that level of our immune system is functioning, the more tolerance we will have to foods. So, for example, if that breaks down over time, you may suddenly have an issue with certain foods, right? And the only way to find that out is to do an IgA or IG, or IgE is actually allergy. Generally, you would know, you'd be born with something like that. But IgA, IgG, like delayed sensitivities, and you can do that with another test. It's generally a skin prick test. It's quite simple, or you can get a blood draw, whatever for you. And that is a typical test that I will do as well for someone who is reacting to foods, but they don't know what it is. Yeah, because these are delayed reactions. For example, the IgG can actually be in your system for up to 10 days. So you could be eating you may have eaten a food, let's say eggs, you've eaten eggs 10 days ago, and across the 10 days you're reacting, but you're not sure, you're blaming all these other types of foods. So that's just a little example, right? So we want to make sure, we want to prevent that stage from occurring. Yeah, and the best way to do that is to ensure that you're getting a broad variety of lots of different beautiful polyphenols. So, for example, our polyphenols in our berries and our astaxanthin, for example, our resveratrol. And you may, if you're a health food shop addict, you may have seen supplements with all of these types of molecules. I actually don't recommend them. I recommend going for real food where our body understands, and they're not made in a lab or anything like that. And our body actually knows and understands that type of molecule, right? So, as another example, green tea has catechins, which is another polyphenol. Even black tea, even coffee has it, you know. So coffee has been demonized as long as it's not impacting your nervous system and your adrenals and not taxing you too much. Coffee can be actually very healthful, very beneficial, as long as you're not ladening it with lots of sugar and cream and all the other rubbish, which can be inflammatory, right? Oats is another one. Buckwheat, a non-gluten grain, one of my favorites, has rutin, which is a really good polyphenol. So there are a lot of different types of, I suppose, molecules or anti-inflammatory, naturally occurring agents in our foods. And if we ensure that we're getting a broad and rich diet full of those, we can help the GALT, which means that our secretory IgA will be responding very well and which will help protect us against things like parasites, antigens from foods, which our body may actually go, oh no, set off the alarm response. Oh no, I don't want that, you know, and causing inflammation, cascade, etc., which causes issues in the intestinal membrane, which causes leaky gut or intestinal permeability, which then may impact your thyroid down the track. Okay, so GALT, secretory IgA, immune system of the gut, really important, with beautiful zinc-rich anti-inflammatory polyphenols. as examples. There are so many more examples. I'm just giving you some that you can readily bring into your diet today. So if you're, drop it in the comments. Tell me, what out of everything that I've mentioned, what are you having on a regular basis? What are you including in your diet? Do you have green tea on a daily basis? If you don't like it, that's fine. Find something else. As I said, there is a broad range of foods and beverages to choose from that can help your gut level, help reduce your gut inflammation and help protect you against issues down the track, right? Okay, number 3, short chain fatty acids. I spoke about that before. So our short chain fatty acids actually help produce certain vitamins and minerals in our body. So for example, our biotin, which is otherwise known as vitamin H, also folate, our B12, vitamin K. So these are actually produced through a very healthy gut microbiota. So if our gut microbiome is not healthy, we're going to be missing out on these vital nutrients. Yes, we can obtain them through food, not so much vitamin K. Vitamin K is very much produced in the gut, and biotin as 2 key ones. Now, biotin is very, very important for the strength and health of your hair. You may have seen it in some hair, skin, and nail supplements. But you know what? If we actually shine the light on the digestive health, we can produce more than enough biotin for our health and wellness. All right. So if you've got issues and they are debilitating and you feel that your digestive health isn't top notch, I'd like you to type, digestive health help. Yeah. So type digestive health help and I'll reach out to you because, it may be just 1 or 2 things that you need to tweak now so that over the next 10 years or the next few decades, you will then have a super healthy gut, which will help with your longevity and help prevent a thyroid issue or help prevent it from worsening, right? There are many different ways, I call it the golden opportunity. What can we be doing now? Do we sit and wait until things really go wrong? Or do we do something about it now? Yeah, so that is your golden opportunity. Okay, so improving the short chain fatty acid ratio, this is point number 3, still on that, will actually help to strengthen the tight junctions. So the tight junctions are the little, so if this is your gastrointestinal membrane, we want the tight gut junctions to be like this. We don't want them to be like this, right, with gaps in them. That then predisposes that area of the digestive system to, intestinal permeability, or otherwise known as leaky gut, which can definitely impact your thyroid wellness. And there is so much scientific data, the link between intestinal permeability and thyroid wellness. There is so much data. And even, in fact, some of my clients who don't actually have thyroid issues, we've run some thyroid panels and run some autoantibody tests, and autoantibodies are sky high, but we're actually focusing on digestive health because they've come into my world with digestive issues. Yeah. So you don't have to have a thyroid issue to work with me. In fact, I very much start at the level of digestion for most individuals, unless everything's top notch there and there are other issues clearly that are impacting thyroid wellness. Okay, so number 4 is just a point that I just wanted to add in because I found it very interesting looking at this the other day. So your deiodinase activity is the enzyme that actually converts your T4 to T3. So a lot of the deiodinase activity actually occurs in the intestinal membrane, right? So what that means is a lot of your T3, which is your main metabolic sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted today. Your main metabolically active thyroid hormone is produced in the intestinal lining. So that just there alone shows and explains how important it is to shine the light on your digestive health for thyroid wellness. Just that fact right there. Okay, so if you have digestive issues and you have a thyroid issue and you're just focusing on supplements for your thyroid and not really looking at your digestive health, well, then you may be actually missing out on the conversion of a lot of your T4 to T3. Okay. Number 5, gluten. All right, so there is celiac disease and then there is non-gluten wheat sensitivity. Now, I actually have non-gluten wheat sensitivity, meaning that I don't actually have celiac disease, but I know that if I have too much wheat, or if I have wheat, I know that I've got a very, very low threshold, and I know that it will start to cause digestive symptoms. And I actually found this out in my early 20s after doing quite deep exploration on my digestive health. Just, I wasn't a naturopath at that point in time. I was just very interested in health and wellness, and I had some digestive issues. And, growing up in Australia, typically we have, toast for breakfast and Vegemite sandwich and, whatever, salad sandwich for lunch, and there might be some bread later on as well. So, that's just kind of what happened. And I didn't have very great digestive health at all until I became an adult and actually started to go down that rabbit hole myself and learned quite a lot about the impact of gluten and wheat and all of that. So, you may have gone to my point I'm making here is you may have gone to the doctors and you might have done a wheat sensitivity test, and like the transglutaminase, for example, and the gliadin, and it might have come up negative, which means that you don't have a problem, but you still may have wheat sensitivity, especially if you've got digestive issues such as bloating, constipation, and or diarrhea, either or IBS type symptoms. And the research has shown that whether you have celiac disease or wheat sensitivity, both of those mechanisms are very similar in the way that they can impact your thyroid gland. Okay, so I urge you to really drill down into your digestive wellness and see if wheat is a problem, because if it is, I can absolutely help you with that, especially in terms of exploring other ways to include some beautiful grains at the proportion and ratio that is right for your metabolic wellness with your health goals. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'd like you to write wheat issues or metabolic wellness, and I can help you with that, and we can have a discussion around that. All right, so number 6 is different medications. So often, we're looking at foods, we're looking at other things, but we're not actually thinking about different medications. So things like your proton pump inhibitors, which are typically prescribed for heartburn, indigestion, etc., they can impact your gut health. Also, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, alcohol. I'm classifying that as a drug because it actually is a cell toxin. So if you're having too much, or if you're having, if your tolerance is less than what you're actually having, that can absolutely be impactful. And in fact, alcohol, any level of alcohol, is a cell toxin. So it's really, really important to understand what your tolerance level is to ensure that you're not, if you do like an alcoholic beverage, what is it that you're having, and what other alternative could be better, and what's the amount in terms of your threshold for your health and wellness. And also reactive oxygen species, otherwise known as what I call the rust in your body. And that's just the derivative, those free radicals floating around in your body that come from lots of things, stress, environmental toxins, chemicals, the breakdown of foods, different metabolites, when our liver has done its job and it's, grabbing the nutrients and throwing out the rest. We've got all these free radicals, and if your body is overwhelmed with the amount of free radicals, that can be impacting your digestive health as well. All right. Okay, number 7, your level of vitamin D. So vitamin D is definitely a vitamin I always have tested in every single one of my clients. It is really, really important to be ensuring that your vitamin D level is way above what it says on the pathology tests. Because what it says on the pathology tests, in my opinion, is a very, very low, narrow range. And especially if you have autoimmune thyroid issues, you want optimal, more than optimal. In fact, well and truly over the hundreds of with the levels. Sorry, that's the testing in Australia. It's different in the States. They have different levels of measurement. So don't get confused. Get in touch if you're wanting to know the equivalents. But well and truly over the hundreds for vitamin D. And vitamin D is really, really important for thyroid wellness, for the immune system regulation at the level of the gut, to help with your GALT, your secretory IgA, the level of inflammation. It has so many roles in the body. I've spoken about vitamin D in the past. In fact, we have vitamin D receptors in every single organ in the body, which means it has a function. Everything from helping depression in our brain, to helping our hormones, to helping our blood sugar levels. So vitamin D, D for differentiation. So it actually helps our cells understand what to do. It directs them where to go and what tissue to go to. So therefore, what is vitamin D? It is anti-cancer, right? So if we've got a regulatory vitamin that actually helps everything, helps direct everything so that it knows what to do, what's that going to do? It's going to help protect us from cancer, right? Right. So number 8, prebiotics and probiotics. Do you know what prebiotics you're having? Do you know what they are? Do you know the difference between prebiotics and probiotics? Yeah. Where are you getting your probiotics from? And I'm not talking about the supplement. I'm talking about from your foods. Yeah. So if you'd like to learn more about that, get in touch. But I can tell you now, kimchi, sauerkraut, our lactobacillus, pot-set yogurt, all beautiful probiotic foods. Our gherkins, our olives, our flax meal, our chia seeds, all the different fibers in our veggies, etc., are all prebiotic foods. Yeah, so prebiotics are actually necessary to help fuel the beautiful gut bugs, which we have 10 trillion. We have billions and billions and billions of gut bugs. In fact, we have more gut bacteria than we have cells in our body, which is why it is so incredibly important. And in fact, we have about just the general, Homo sapien these days has about 20 to 25% of dietary fiber compared to our predecessors. So it's really our ancestors. So it's really, really important that we understand, what we're actually having to help our microbiota, the health of our microbiota. We want our diet to be broad. We want to have, we don't want to overload it, because if you've got a gut dysbiosis and you suddenly go, oh, I'm going to go out and get some sauerkraut, and you just load your plate up, you might have some major digestive issues, major distress. So it's really good to know what's going on. And the only way to do that, in my opinion, is testing. Yeah, I'm a big fan of gut function testing, because it can give us a bird's eye view of what's going on the inside, so that then we can understand what foods and dietary elements, we draw into our dietary blueprint to help the health of our digestive system. Okay. Right. So number 9 is, what percentage of organic produce are you having? And otherwise, or it could be homegrown, compared to conventional produce. Now, the reason I say this is because, and you know what, we can't just, paint everything with the same brush. So, for example, there are very conscientious farmers, and there are, mass production farms that just kind of spray everything to the hilt. There's also, and I know this because I grew up on a primary production. My dad was a vegetable grower, so I know all about crops, vegetables, all that type of stuff. And ask me any questions, vegetable farmer, let's have a chat. Just pop it in the chat. So there are different ways, and there's actually, for example, you're not supposed, from the last spray, so there's different sprays to use as well, and from the last spray, produce should not be picked for about 3 days. And some farmers I know, ask me how I know, will leave it a whole week, right? And then there's rainfall in between. So there's conscientious and then there's non-conscientious. So it just depends. So know where you're getting your produce from. Okay. Now, the reason why this is important is because Roundup has about 50% glyphosate. The other 50% is a chemical stew. Now, it's lots of stuff that's even arguably more toxic than glyphosate. The reason why, when you look everything up, and you'll only find a lot of information on glyphosate, is because that's what's been mostly studied, and that actually comprises 50% of what's in Roundup, made by the mega producer Monsanto, right? So, who actually fund a lot of pharmaceutical companies, just saying. Okay, so I'm trying not to get off track. I'll keep on track. So understand, what's the ratio? What's the percentage? Because us humans, we do not have a shikimate pathway, and that has been argued. It has been argued that we are okay with these types of chemicals because we don't have that type of pathway in our system. However, what about our gut bugs? Our gut bugs do. So if we're killing off our gut bugs by having conventional foods and too much like non-organic or non-conscientious farming practices foods, well then we may be unaware that we're actually killing off some beautiful gut bugs. So it's just really important to understand and to increase your awareness around that. Understand what the dirty dozen are, understand what the clean 15 are. Just know that if you grow your own food, you're probably, you're not only growing beautiful food on your property, there's an act of love in that. You're actually bringing in your energy into the production of that food, and then you're picking it, you're nurturing it, you're picking it, you're harvesting it, you're cooking it, you're feeding yourself, you're feeding the family. I mean, that in itself has a beautiful energy, don't you think? Anyway, that's another topic. So just looking at it objectively, have a look and have a think about organic versus non-organic foods. Okay, especially, and there are some foods that I would only ever purchase organic, and there are other foods that, here and there, or it doesn't really matter. And that's because I have the knowledge and the wisdom of how food is produced. So if you're wanting to understand more about that, just write organic, and we can have a chat about that. And the last one is the impact of stress. So last but not least. So our digestive system is directly linked with our brain via the vagus nerve, and the level of stress that's initiated from our thoughts can absolutely impact the level of digestive health. And you may already know that if you've, had an argument, or you've had an upset or some sort of stressful situation, that suddenly you've gotten bloated, or you've gotten indigestion, or you can't digest your food well, or you might have really erratic bowel motions, etc., etc. So, it is very, very well known. And if you build in a practice to reduce your stress around your meal times, and there are so many different ways that you can do that, whilst you're learning to respond better to the daily stresses of life, well, then you're absolutely going to be helping your digestive function. And that is a huge topic on its own. But I just wanted to bring this in because if you are highly stressed and eating on the run and not honoring your body the way your body deserves for your digestive health, well, then unbeknownst to you, you are actually negatively impacting your digestive health and wellness and causing inflammation. All right. All right, so that's it from there. And if you're interested in doing a comprehensive level of gut testing, that is what I do for all of my clients that come in on that 3-month container that work with me. And, we either do GI mapping, microbiome mapping, or we might do a complete digestive stool analysis, or depending on the signs and symptoms, we might see whether you've got SIBO, or see whether you've got intestinal permeability, or we might look at, food inflammation. So there are so many different levels that we can do to help shine the light on your digestive system, see what's going on, so that from then on, you can rectify the situation and improve your health and wellness for the longevity. That's what we're all after, isn't it? The longevity. So you can absolutely get longevity and have a beautiful, healthy, abundant life with a thyroid issue, right? It's just understanding what to do for yourself, how to support your body, how to nurture your nervous system, all of those things. And that's what I bring into the way I practice. And if you'd like to just dip your toe in and just have a little snapshot of what it's like to work with me, we can do that as well. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please ask any questions, and I look forward to seeing you for the next live. Bye for now.